everyone. Welcome to Stand With Us on JLTV. I'm Roz Rothstein, your host, and today I'm very excited. We have Edwin Black, New York Times best-selling author, and he actually has already sold 1.4 million books in print, and it's very exciting to have you with us. His latest book, Financing the Flames, very much along the lines of what we talk about all the time at Stand With Us and try to educate people about the dangers of terrorism and who's funding all of that terrorism. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Roz, it's so good to be with you, and of course I have to give a great shout out to your organization, Stand With Us. You're doing so much for the community. Now, my book, Financing the Flames, which really just came out shortly before I came to Los Angeles, highlights the fact that American taxpayers are actually funding specific acts of terrorism in Israel. The way it works is this. If a Palestinian wants to go from a nobody to a national hero or from rags to riches, all he's got to do is blow up a bus or stab an Israeli at a street corner or break into a house and slit the throats of a family, maybe some infants. That man will go on an immediate Palestinian Authority official salary. The salary will go up by the number of people that he kills. He can get up to $300 to $500 a month for a short sentence in prison, and up to $10,000 a month if he kills enough people to earn a 25-year sentence. He doesn't believe he'll serve these sentences. He'll believe they'll be out in a prisoner release. This constitutes some 6% of the Palestinian Authority budget. It's $5 to $7 million a month. If you throw in other compensation for terrorist acts, specific terrorist acts, it's 16%, whereas this money coming from, it's coming from you, Roz. It's coming from me, from the American taxpayers, which are funding the Palestinian Authority.
So I want to take what you just said and slow it down, because I know people think the money is coming from somewhere. Maybe they think it's being funded by, Iran, but to go to the core of what you just said, that let's talk about the system within which this is done in the Palestinian prisons. I know you know about some of this, but you don't know how this is distributed and how it's prioritized. And I know that because you just did all this research, Edwin, you can really educate us about this. So let's take an example. That tragic case of the family in Itamar, where even a sleeping baby was murdered in such a horrific way. So that person those two guys, those two killers that perpetrated that, now then they go to an Israeli prison. So let's track that. So what happens?
They go to an Israeli prison. They then receive a POA, that's a power of attorney. There's an entire ministry in the Palestinian Authority called the Ministry of Prisoners, and the Ministry of Prisoners oversees all this multi-million-dollar per month payout and reward program for specific terrorists. When they get that POA, that power of attorney, they then consign the money either to their girlfriend, to their mother, to their soccer team, to their terror group, whoever they want, and that money gets paid to them. It's prioritized. So if there's only $1 million left in the bank of the Palestinian Authority, which is notoriously out of money, and they have starving children here and health needs here and prisoner salaries here, they prioritize it to the prisoners' salaries. And there's even an NGO called the Prisoners Club that makes sure that all this money is prioritized over every other program.
So the Prisoners Club, which sounds like it might be doing something else, is really the Prisoners Club of the Palestinian Authority that actually prioritizes where all the money for the terrorist families.
It's actually the Ministry of Prisoners, and the Prisoners Club is a popular group that puts pressure on the Ministry of Prisoners to make sure it does not falter in its prioritization.
I see.
It's overseen by an official government ministry.
I see. It's just reminds me of a day that I went, an Arab friend took me to Daisha, Palestinian town that's supposed to be moderate. The fact that I saw pictures of suicide bombers on street corners, and this was just a couple of years ago. The fact that I saw pictures of children throwing Molotov cocktails in their cultural center, and this is in the city of Daisha, which is supposed to be a moderate place. But what I did see, which is relevant to what you're talking about, is a protest in the middle of the street by Fatah against the PA because there were a few terrorists whose families, because they blew up themselves in an Israeli restaurant or cafe, the families of those terrorists never received their $25,000, so there was a big protest in the streets on the day that I was there, between Fatah and the PA.
And this observation is key to what we're discussing, what you have just said, and that is that peace doesn't pay in the Palestinian Authority, because the United States is giving hundreds of millions of dollars. The European Union is giving billions of dollars in donor aid, and this money is being allocated directly and indirectly to specific terrorist acts. On top of that, Americans are subsidizing 501c3 charitable organizations who are engaged in so-called charitable work like the New Israel Fund, the Ford Foundation, George Soros, and these organizations are actually fanning the flames while we're financing the flames, fanning the flames of confrontation, destabilizing Israel, destabilizing the IDF, and attempting to wipe away the Jewish identity from the Jewish state.
So we're going to go deeper on all of this when we return. I want to hear more. I know you're an expert on Ford Foundation and the New Israel Fund and all of that. So don't leave. We're going to be right back with Edwin Black.